share for us for around 15 minutes. Thanks, James.
Yeah, thank you, Leah. My name is James and I'm a recovered drug addict. Thank you to everybody for turning up today. Thanks for destroying your lives and making it possible for us all to attend the meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. Thanks to the committee. Thank you for all the guys that have shared and all the broken people that are seeking a way out from this terrific and horrific illness of addiction that is confusing and baffling and so destructive to us and other people around us, you know. So I've been asked to discuss, talk about a vision for you. That's you. A vision for me as I looked at this, as I was presented to this, as I got into this book and got through this book. I didn't need to be coerced or convinced of this once I started to really see the true nature of my predicament. I was just so grateful to the guy that turned up and stuck around to help me. You know, my heart is still with that person, and I'm side by side with him and others in this, looking at this, talking about this. Again, thanks to the guys that have touched upon some stuff today. It's great to hear that and hear your experience around that. So yeah, Cocaine Anonymous, we use the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah, I don't deviate from that. I look at that and I share my experience that's contained within my own story and match that within the experience of the guys that use this book and put this book together. And I'm really just a repeat of what some people have said today, but I'm just trying to kind of wrap it up and, you know, really put myself in a position to be useful to guys that are new through the door, just don't understand what's going on, to show you some love and compassion, because I get it, I feel it, I know, I've been there. So page 153, if you've got a big book with you, if you haven't, that's fine, we can sort one or get one, we'll sort that out. But if you have got one, you know, don't look at me, look at your book. It's what it's for, it's to study, you know. So cool, page 153. At the bottom, final, almost near the end, the final paragraph, it says, in the chapter, working with others, yeah, you gathered an idea of how we approach and aid others to health. Suppose now that through several families have adopted this way of life, you will want to know more of how to proceed from that point. Perhaps the best way of treating you as a glimpse of your future will be to describe the growth of the fellowship among us. And it goes on to discuss a brief account. So look at your own experience with that. You are one man, one woman alone, yeah, that has been helped to get through, to escape disaster. Not let's go and hang around with the CA fraternity, yeah, the cigar smoking, press up, gym going lunatics. Not all of you, I don't mean that, but it ain't about that, right? It's about creating the fellowship that you crave, yeah? What is that? You know, what was that fellowship? It was an understanding that I got from alcoholism out of this book by another member that stuck around, man, for fucking years, looking out for people like me, yeah? It just blows me away. I'd never met anybody like that before. I've met a lot of drug addicts and a lot of people that were using that were looking for a way out and they had loads of solutions, but it didn't come to anything. And I always wanted to escape. Like long gone were the days of, you know, cocaine use and it was a few wild weekends in Marbella, or, you know, I lived in Spain for a bit, and all those, you know, suffering with imaginary gangster syndrome and all that shit that goes with it, to the point when you cross that, you lose the power of choice and you're doing something against your will that you don't want to do anymore. You know, Phil, in a crack house with his sister, she was still, God bless her, in a position of, you know, the delusion, yeah, and Phil in that moment of clarity just wanting to escape. And having escaped, relapse should not be possible. It shouldn't be. However, for the real addict, for the real alcoholic within this and what this book talks about, it was fucking possible to do it again. Yeah, and what we're trying to do here and look at is not bang on about step 10 and 11 and 12, bang on about God and the solution, yeah? Because that ain't no fucking good to the newcomer, yeah? And it's not what the book tells us to do. If you look at page 92, as Dwayne has just suggested, it says that we discuss our, and Lenny, we discuss our struggles to stay stopped. We look at the mental twist. We look at more about alcoholism. We look at deep within our own experiences, not banging on around our own recovery and where we are. Because like it was said, Bill Wilson did that. Right, imagine going talking to a drunk sitting on the floor and sitting next to him and telling them banging on about your vital spiritual experience. I know that's what comes because like I've had one and I know, and I was so bloody excited. I couldn't believe that something had happened to me so fucking profound, that I'd been separated and been restored to sanity around the question of the first one. This wasn't just like some frothy stuff, man. This was something heavy. That was my experience. I'm not saying it's everybody. For some people, it's gradual. I've just gone so far down and somebody put their hand out and helped me out. And I've done it. I was out there trying to help people, talking about how I'd got well and what had happened to me. And it's like, they lost interest, man. I was only trying to be helpful, don't get me wrong. I wasn't doing it in a selfish and self-seeking manner. I just didn't know how to convey and express this. I didn't know how to get into the nitty-gritty. That it shows us to do with Jim the Jaywalker. I know I'm talking about a vision for you, but that is the vision for you. To get out of here, into the real world, and help people identify and understand. Someone walks into a meeting, you're going to just assume that they're an addict. Don't know, man. Get into it with them. Sit down. Make a friend. Like what Phil touched upon, that love and compassion. When Andy H was saying that he was at the hospital earlier, God bless him, man. He was with those guys trying to help him. He wasn't going, why did you read that? So it's because you weren't in your step 11 and 12, mate. Or the trick is to get a good sponsor. Oh, fuck off. It's not what we're here for, man. It's about putting ourselves in a position where those guys can relate to us, talk to us as we just once were. Somebody said to me, it's an analogy, a metaphor, so to speak. And like the jaywalker, they can become quite easy to relate to and look at. And he said, listen, James, it's not about your new shoes. It ain't about your new bloody recovery shoes. It's about keeping those old using shoes and walking in them shoes when you meet this man alone. That's what it's about. It's an analogy and metaphor. I ain't got my old fucking heroin grafting trainers on, trust me. But it's what I'm talking about, is we can get in and talk to these guys as, we have got that understanding. Whatever your experience is, whether it's a glamorous, so-called glamorous life of cocaine in Marbella, rocking up in Portobello, or it was down in the streets in Bristol, grimy, sticking needles into your groin. We've all got individual stories within that we can use to be effective. Not forgetting about your own story. It is so important to get into this. And for me, it's really something that, I don't know, it's just something that I just keep digging into. How can we become more effective? How can we be more sort of, I pause when agitated. I have to pause loads throughout, particularly meetings. I've got no defence against that blue button and sticking my hand up and wanting to say something. But I have to pause when agitated. I've got a defence against the blue button. So it says, so we look at a vision for you, and it takes us to working with others, which in turn takes you to more about alcoholism, which will then in turn take you to look at Bill's story, to look at Jim's, Fred's, all that, and look at your own story within that, and how you can present that stuff. And if you look at Bill Wilson within this, in the hospital, he had that thing that happened to him, didn't he? He wasn't like, oh, I need to do this for me. He was like, but what about those other alcoholics? I was fucking 2 weeks in a hospital bed after sharing some stuff with Ebby. He just said some stuff and he just had the thought. It wasn't like, I need to do this to protect myself, to stay clean. I get it, don't get me wrong, I understand it. We're coming into here confused and baffled and absolutely sort of humiliated. But it's about changing one's perspective. Because it says if we're selfish and self-centered, and if we're still banging on around our own recovery, we're selfish and self-centered. It's not change, it's about observation and learning how to become more effective. So he thought about those other alcoholics, and like somebody said earlier, he was running around trying to help people. Fucking God bless him, man. Where the hell would we be if it wasn't for him having that thought of others? But what he did, he learned, and he wanted to become more effective within that. Yeah, and he would listen to people. He wasn't blocked off to new ideas or old ideas. And he went and saw Siltworth, didn't he, and said, like, go and talk about the hopelessness of this condition. And we talk about the hopelessness of this condition because if we don't, and you want to get into that step one avoidance and not really face that, because it's fucking terrifying. You know, the fact that you're going to, you could, or the book prophesies that if you have an alcoholic mind, the time and place will come that you will use again. We don't like to hear that. Didn't want to hear that, but I looked at my experience and that's what fucking happened. I said I wasn't going to do it again. Yeah, I'm not on about, for me personally, within the 12-step fellowship. I relapsed for about 18 years constantly over different periods and periods of sobriety, and whack, I fell into Cocaine Anonymous, only as a result of somebody working their 12-step. Yeah, and talked about this with me. And within this, I could say, oh, hi, my name's James. I've come into Cocaine Anonymous and I haven't relapsed. You never have to use again. Well, it ain't true. If you've got your eyes open in Cocaine Anonymous, there's people relapsing all around you. Yeah. This ain't a lecture. So it's not meaning to come across in such a way. I'm just quite passionate about this because I see people dying all the time. Yeah, it comes from my heart. Authentic. Yeah. The stage character, the actor's gone. It's just me. Sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. So Bill came out and he tried a new approach, and he was in the Mayflower, he was in a hospital, he was in the hotel lobby. It was a bit of a fucking shit day. You know, business had come off unwell, like financial stuff, so there's some financial insecurity. Yeah. Agnosticism still going on. He saw a bar, a bit of gay chatter, and suddenly the thought, what about those other alcoholics? What about those other alcoholics? And he went to a phone booth and called a clergyman and got in touch with Dr. Bob. Yeah, that's it. He didn't go, what I need to do is pray, meditate, get into my 10, 11 and 12. Yeah, the thought came. It came to him. It happened to him. Like relapse happened to us. And I'm not discounting the mechanics of the 12 steps. Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. A lot of inventory has been done over the years, a lot of prayer and meditation, cleared up my amends, and got into this. But as a result of that stuff, something happened to me where I stopped working the steps and the steps took me. I don't work the steps. It happened. What time am I on? Okay. So what happened was somebody helped me, and I remember my sponsor saying to me, read A Vision for You, there's something about you in it. And I read the first few lines, I was like, yeah. And I messaged him back. He's like, no, that's not it. And I must have sent him about 90 messages about. And he goes, look at the fucking title, A Vision for You. You see what I was doing? I couldn't see the beauty of the forest for the ugliness of its trees. I wasn't seeing the bigger picture. It was talking to me about what I'm here to do now. If you want. It's not a forced thing. You don't have to do this, man. It's just something that I can't help but do. You know, and it was like, So it says, look, for most normal folks, I'm back on 151. For most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colourful imagination. Damn right it does. For my mum, it's an amazing thing. She loves it. Good day, bad day, whatever. It's an elixir for life, isn't it? It's cool. It means release from care, boredom, or worry. What does that mean? Care, boredom, and worry. There's your spiritual malady. There's your restless, ill, and discontent. So that ain't alcoholism. It already blows it out of the water. So yeah, that's not alcoholism. It is joyous intimacy with friends and a feeling that life is good. But not so with us. In those last days of heavy drinking, the old pleasures were gone. They were moments of the past. There was an insistent yearning to enjoy life as we once did, and the heartbreaking obsession that some new miracle of control would enable us. That's asking a big thing. I want a miracle to be able to control it. It's quite far-fetched, isn't it? But I get it. there was always one more attempt and one more failure. The less people tolerated us, the more we withdrew from society and life itself as we became subjects. Not I was born an alcoholic because the way that I think, yeah, it's something that happened to me. I lost power of choice, yeah, and I couldn't control it. As we became subjects of King Alcohol, shivering denizens of his mad realm, the chilling vapour that its loneliness settled down, it thickened, ever becoming blacker. Some of us sought out sordid places, hoping to find understanding, companionship and approval. Momentarily we did, and then would come oblivion and the awful awaiting to face the hideous four horsemen, terror, bewilderment, frustration and despair. Unhappy drinkers who read this page will understand. Heavy drinkers might not. So yeah, in my addiction that stripped everything away from me, yeah, where am I going to find companionship? With other drug addicts that are just as fucked as I was. Yeah, when I was in the hostels, when I was in prisons. I built relationships with these people, man. Yet when I came into Cocaine Anonymous, I found people that were just like me that have escaped and found a way out and wanted to help me. I'll never forget that, man. I took that to my heart. Never forget that fact. So it's asking you questions, it's talking to us as a result of getting through the book. And it's not a novel, man, it is a study book, you know what I mean? But you've got to be taken through this if you want, by a sponsor. I don't know what the right sponsor, what a good sponsor is, yeah, just somebody that is here and whoever you like the sound of, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's a rhyme or reason. Whoever you cross paths with at a certain time, you may just be receptive to what they're talking about if they want to help you. We have shown how we got from under. You say, yes, I am willing. But am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring and glum, like some righteous people that I see? I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? Yeah, there is a substitute, and it's vastly more than that. It's a fellowship of Cocaine Anonymous. There you will find release from care, boredom and worry. Your imagination will be fired. Life will mean something at last. With great power comes great responsibility, man. You got that to go and help somebody else. How is that to come about? Is that to come about by sitting on my arse and not doing anything about it and stepping over the local drug addict as I go into Tesco's? No. You're going to meet new friends in your community. Near you, addicts and alcoholics are dying helplessly, like people in the sinking ship. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds, high and low, rich and poor. These are future members of Cocaine Anonymous. Among them, you will make lifelong friends. Yeah, authentic people, man, real people. You know, the relationships that I've got in Cocaine Anonymous, they far outweigh the relationships I've got with other people. I can't even explain that. It's just something. We're in this together and we have a common ground, and that's working with others and trying to help the new man that is still sick. You know, that is something that we are united in, and it's just, you know, my mum doesn't get it. You know, partners have never got it. I fucking walk away from him. I'm not interested. If they don't understand why I'm doing this, they can do one. I ain't interested. Seriously. Cool. What did I want to get to? Around you, everybody, they're dying. You know, this Zoom thing that's been going on. You know, like whatever's going on at the moment, this has been a unique opportunity to hook up and get in touch with you guys. What an amazing thing to see this. 54 started with a little bit more, a few had dropped off, but to see everybody in this and sticking around for this is just absolute. This is the bright spot of COVID-19 for me. I'm just so grateful for this. I don't mean I'm grateful that people have been. I mean, I've had it great. I just mean I was confined for 2 weeks in my own environment, and I had to get on with this even more. Amazing. Do you know what I mean? It's just a really cool deal. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for today. Thank you for everybody that, you know, the undercurrent, these meetings just don't miraculously appear out of thin air for you. Yeah, they do. But what I mean is there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. This is just not an hour, a couple of events. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and it's an amazing thing to be part of. Yeah. I'll leave it there, man. Thanks.
We're going to meet these new friends. So